Microkitty here with Nerd Caliber, and I'm interviewing Barbs and Miles Luna today.
What's up?
Hi. If you had to assemble a 4-person team that is not already canonical, who would be in the team?
I would say Yang, Nora, Pyrrha, and Coco.
Ooh, that's
Just like a badass,
Yeah.
super beefy lady team.
I'm really a fan of all like the useless boys, so I'd go with Jean, Neptune, Sun, and well, he's not useless, but I'd like to see Ren thrown in there as like the one guy trying his best and just failing.
I feel that. If there was no interference in the Vital Festival, who do you think would have actually won?
Yang. I mean, duh.
No offense, but I gotta give it to Pyrrha. She's the best of the best, man. She's got a lot of championship belts.
Are there any criticisms that you've heard of the show that you agree with?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, every year we look back and like, we could have done some stuff better. I think going into Volume 4, we got a little too ambitious and trying to take on so many multiple storylines at once and trying to balance out, you know, not just screen time, but just like time spent trying to like progress things forward at like a good pace, and it was just a little we knew it was going to be hard, and yet it was still harder than we thought it was going to be. So hopefully we've learned a lot from Volume 4, and going into Volume 5 we've got a better handle on how things are going to go, and people are going to be really excited about what we're doing.
Are there any characters that you personally would like to see more of? Other than Yang, like, come on, we want to.
That's gonna be my answer for every question.
We want to see like 800 hours of Yang. We get it.
Wait, what was the question? Would personally like to see what?
More of like a character.
I heard barf, and I thought that was a very strange question. I was like, no.
Who's gonna barf again? I would like to see more Raven, personally, because I think she's such an interesting character, and I would just like to know more about her and why she did what she did.
I mean, spoiler alert, she's on the poster for Volume 5, so it's.
I'm just saying, I don't know what's gonna happen.
This is for Barb as well. So how do you feel when people project Yang's character and attributes like onto you in like real life?
I'm honored, honestly, because she is such a badass and so cool and brave and passionate, and it's traits that I really admire in a person. The only thing I'm not a fan of is that people do associate me with Yang a lot, which is great, but they also don't realize sometimes that I'm Barbara and I have 2 arms, and when they see me with 2 arms, then they're like, aren't you supposed to have 1? And it's like, all right, guys, all right.
So from like a cosplay point of view, that happens to me all the time. Like I cosplayed Pyranicos, and people would just be like, R.I.P. all day. It's the worst.
I'm just a character.
So who is your husbando or waifu in the show? And it can't be your own character, guy.
I want Ren to treat me good. I want him to make me breakfast in bed.
Love it.
Nora's my waifu.
Nora's my waifu.
She's my waifu.
Was it hard to, you kind of already covered this, but was it hard to divide the screen time between the separate plots in season 4?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had to sacrifice like a lot, or like?
Yeah, we have a tendency to write way too much, and like we'll hit a point in a script and go, shit, we're already on like page 12, this is a problem. So it's like having to make compromises and sacrifices, and like, you know, not spend some time with certain characters, not because we don't want to, but because like there's this other thing that we need to make sure happens this volume before we can move on. So it's like we have to check these other boxes, and unfortunately that means not being able to spend a ton of time with everybody.
So this is like my one inappropriate question that I said that they said I was allowed to ask. So how do you feel about like the not safe for work, like hentai, like fan fiction, like cosplay that's from RWBY?
It's gonna sound weird, but it's actually pretty cool because it shows that we're seen as an anime, because a lot of this stuff happens to anime, obviously. It's Rule 34. If it exists, there's porn for it. So to me, it like almost legitimizes the show in a weird way.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. This is because it's impossible to wade through the internet and just not see stuff hit you. There's been times where I'm like, man, that's a really good artist. But I don't want to show this as reference to anyone.
Yeah.
Hit that retweet. Was there a scene in RWBY or like RWBY Chibi that was your favorite to write or your favorite to voice act for? And like, do you remember it? What was it?
Yeah, I think my favorite one to voice act, honestly, is in Volume 5.
Well, all right, enough.
But my second favorite, I think, is the end of Volume 3 with Yang and RWBY. Just because it's such an emotional and and intense moment, and it's such a turning point in the story too. And it was really challenging for me in a fun way to completely like 180 my character and how she sees the world.
I think one of my favorite moments to voice act was honestly in Volume 1 when Jean has this breakdown on the roof and admits to being a liar, because that was the first time I ever got to like professionally do any sort of dramatic acting, and it was cool. It was also fun taking the like Ron Stoppable character and making him self-aware that he's Ron Stoppable, and like people laugh at him. It's like, I don't know, it was fun.
What is your favorite or like least favorite part of being a guest at a convention? It doesn't have to be like in the con center, but like, you know, traveling or, you know.
I actually love traveling. We have been really lucky to get to go to a lot of conventions recently, and I loved getting to go to all these different places and also just getting to meet fans who we wouldn't normally get to meet. And so coming to these conventions is such an honor, and getting to spend time with everybody here and see the passion. Because it's like, it's one thing to do this online and to read comments, but to be here in person and see people's faces when they talk about the show, it's like on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I mean, she took what I love about cons. I guess my one thing I don't like is my own voice. It's like the last day of this con, and the fact that I'm even like audible is great. Because normally I sound like this. And it's not the best for like saying hi to 1,000 people, which I love doing. But then my own body's like, give us a break.
Yeah.
Oh, what character other than John is like the best or most fun to write for?
In RWBY, the most fun character to write for. It's Nora. Like Nora. Actually, no, that's not true. It's a tie between Nora and Crow. Nora because she's Nora and super wild and just like adorable, but Crow gets to be an and not a lot of characters in RWBY get to be an
Tyrion.
And it's great. Tyrion gets to be scary, crazy, evil, but Crow just gets to be like, your skirt looks stupid.
Oh, so how do you feel when you're like acting or writing for a scene that you know is going to like hurt people's feelings, like using her arm or like, you know, because you're like holding on to that information for a while?
There's a scene I recorded in Volume 5 where I'm just like, man, this is not how I would react to this situation as Barbara, but it's the way that Yang is feeling about this situation and how she's going to portray it. So to me, I'm like, oh man, people aren't gonna like this and what she's doing here, but all right, I'm gonna do it anyway. So it's always, you go in with some trepidation, but.
There's a lot more pressure because like you have to get it just right, because if you're going for something that's like, okay, this has to emotionally hit, you gotta stick it. Otherwise, like if you futz up that one little bit, then like the whole thing is like put into question and nobody's gonna take it seriously, and then it all falls apart. So it's like, it has to be just the right amount of a pause or the right look, or, you know, it gets down to these super minute details. But then there's also like the excitement of, I really hope this, and it sounds awful, completely obliterates the person that's watching this, because feelings, even the bad ones, are important, and being able to get people to feel stuff is one of the reasons why I love telling stories.
You guys like high five when you see like people have an emotional reaction to something. You're like, yeah, we did it!
That means we did a good job.
That means it was a good writing,
Yeah.
It was good animation, and everything comes together.
So this is my last question, and it's actually a repeat question, but in the panel on Friday, someone asked you like my favorite question I've ever heard, and they asked, what do the fans like do for you? What have they like done to change, you know, like inspire you?
I think it's obvious. We wouldn't be making the show if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be at these conventions if it wasn't for them. We wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for them. And so when they come up to the booth and thank us for making the show, it's nice, but it's also like, thank you for watching the shows, because that's what supports us and makes us be able to do all this stuff.
Yeah. I keep a lot of like letters and stuff that people give me.
Yeah.
Like some really sweet people gave me some letters yesterday that I read back in my hotel room and was just like, put in my journal. No, there was like, my mom was a second grade teacher, and one of her students made a drawing of RWBY and said how much she loved RWBY, and I keep that on my desk because like that motivates the hell out of me.
All right, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It's been like an absolute pleasure. So this is Miles Luna and Barbara Dunkelman and Microkitty with Nerd Caliber.